Welcome to this session where we will, I think, build very much on where we started this morning. The start was on the poverty and equity dimension of development, and now we broaden the scope, realizing that our own science very clearly shows that the biggest drivers of our global environmental risks is really affluence and not poverty. And in a world that is very positively developing, just like Ogalala Davidson and Yuba Sokona and Lydia Brito showed this morning, we're moving very rapidly towards lifting millions of people out of poverty, but largely adopting a lifestyle which is equivalent to the development paradigm that has caused the problem so far. So this is a session on the new concepts in science supporting development. And I think two keywords from the morning session was in the end when Martin Rees, the moderator, pointed out that we have a failure in governance in the world, and where Martin Perry reminded us that we're on a trajectory towards a 4-degree world. So we are on a pathway towards disaster, which in fact means that we have scientific basis to say that the current development paradigm is not working. Even Ban Ki-moon, the Secretary General of the United Nations, has pointed out very clearly in the run-up to the Rio +20 that our current development paradigm is not going to be able to support prosperity and human well-being in a world of 10 billion people. So our task here with this eminent panel is, what does science then tell us of what is then a or several strategies for a development paradigm in support of the transition that Jill Yeager summarized so eloquently this morning. And we have a very strong and exciting panel with us here today. To the furthest right are two colleagues from IIASA, so Michael Obersteimer, who has been leading the Ecosystem Service and Management Program at IIASA for a long time, an expert in doing something that very few of us can do, global land use and economics. I expect, and we expect a lot from your analysis. Narasimha Rao, who's a postdoc fellow at IIASA, looking a lot on the links between energy, poverty, and climate. So I think you can be a connection to the previous session here. My dear friend and colleague Dirk Messner, who is heading the very influential German Development Institute, focusing a lot on the governance challenges in the world, and who's also co-chairing the very influential German Global Advisory Council on Global Change. So-gil Young, who is sitting on the Korean Presidential Committee on Green Growth, and I think it's an enormous privilege to have you here. South Korea, as you're all aware, is a country that doesn't talk of sustainability as a sector anymore, but really as a core strategy for development. And I dare say you're ruling the world these days with Professor Kim heading the World Bank and Ban Ki-moon heading the United Nations. So we're very privileged to have you here to guide us. Bill Colglazer, who has a long and very eminent career with the National Academy of Sciences, professor of physics and now a science and technology advisor to the U.S. Secretary of State. Professor Diana Liverman, who is co-chairing with me the Future Earth Transition Team, but also a professor at Oxford and now a professor at University of Arizona, and one of the very broad social scientists able to link to global environmental change. And finally, the most important person on this panel, my dear colleague rapporteur, Florian Kraxner, who is the deputy leader at IIASA for the Ecosystem Service Management Program. So we're up for a very exciting session here. I'll be very tough on time.